So this video is for my friend Candace, who sent me this picture right here, which I want to see if I can hold up, and wanted to know how to make this skirt. So what I've got here is a half scale basic skirt pattern, copied from one of my pattern books, and I'm going to demonstrate how we can get this skirt, more or less. So you'll need a ruler, you'll need a pen, and this is how we're going to roll. So if you look at the center back of this skirt, you can see that it's got quite a lot of fullness added. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these two darts here and we're going to turn them into fullness in the skirt back. So I'm going to draw a couple lines here. We're just going to start by getting rid of these darts. So we're going to take the pattern and cut it along these lines we just drew at the end of the darts, and this is just going to give us some fullness here. So to close the dart, we're just going to take it and close it this way, which is going to give us what we need. So continuing on, what we do is we close these waist darts here, put a little bit of tape on them, and you can see that's converted to fullness down here. Basically, we still have that amount of the dart, it's just moved lower down. So we're going to stick some tape. All right, so we've got this that we're working with now. All right, I'm going to fill this with some paper. And then we're going to trim this into a bit of a curve here, just to match what we've got. Set the rest of this aside. Okay, so you can see we've now moved this and we've got a bit of a flared skirt accommodating for those darts. Now, let's take a look at this paper here. Basically, the way folds go determines where we're going to cut our pattern to get this. So you can see we've got some going out this way, some going out this way, and then we've got some other folds with some fullness right here, if you can see. Now, if you look at the picture of the front, you'll see that the skirt is pretty smooth right here. None of that fullness extends to the sides. The fullness stops right at the side seam. So with that in mind, let's take this. This is our center back here. Let's take this and we're going to draw design lines approximating where we want the fullness. So use our ruler and we want to decide where we want these pleats to go based, again, loosely on what the image shows us. So you can see that these angles roughly correspond to where this needs to translate to. I think I did that one too low. Let's move it up here. Yeah, I'm going to scratch that one out. And then we've got some fullness right here in the middle. So what we're then going to do is we're going to take it and cut it. And we're going to cut it just about to the edge, and we're working with no seam allowance. You need to add your seam allowance. Then we're going to take it and fan it out. And once we fan it out, this space right here, we're going to fill it with paper, and that's going to be folded up to become these tucks that you see right here. So I'm just going to grab a little piece of paper to fill it. And how large of a tuck you do is up to you. This may be one where you want to experiment with a couple of muslins to make sure that you've got the right amount there. So I've spread one tuck, taped it, and again, if we want to tidy as we go, we can then take this and kind of trim it out of our way. Now, I'll show you what to do with the tuck. So if we're tucking this where it folds downward, which I think we're going to do, then what we're going to do is take this and fold it, and then we're going to cut our paper here. And we're going to cut it so that it lines up with what we've got. All right, so I've taken that, folded it, folded it, and trimmed it. And then when we open it up, we can see our bit of a tuck there. So that when we fold it, again, where it faces downwards, we've got what we need right there, and it lines up with the edge. So basically, we're just going to do the exact same thing with these other lines. We're going to cut along the line, almost to the edge, and we'll do the same thing with this one. My line is sloppy, but we're just kind of using this as a general guide. And so you'll see the skirt shape starting to change. Let me move this out of the way. So as we open these up, the skirt kind of, so you'll notice this side is the same length, but starts to curve inward right here. And then this part is starting to curve that direction. And so once we fold all this fullness back, that's where we're going to be. I'm going to use this piece of scrap paper. And we'll fold these out and just tape this in place. Now, if we wanted to get rid of this fullness here, we could also have folded out this dart, and the darts that were originally up here could be down in these sections instead. But to simplify, I just put them down here since it looks like that skirt has some extra fullness anyway. And then we've got the other part. Looks like we're going to be adding some fullness, but we're adding it all the way down. So I'm going to cut this piece completely off. And then we're going to just scoot that over to give ourselves the pleats and the fullness that we want at the bottom and the top of the skirt. So if you're wanting some fullness down here at the bottom and also at the top, you'll want to move this straight out. Slide it underneath and scoot this way. We want to make sure our curve kind of stays continuous down here. And we've taped that down. So what we'll then do, so if we're wanting this to fold downwards, we can take all of these and fold them. And you see, as we fold them, the skirt starts to take shape. Theoretically, if I can get it to fold. And this paper is pretty thick. This would be easier to do in tracing paper or tissue paper. And then this fold looks like it's going to go this way. We're going to fold that away from center back. You can fold it whichever direction you'd rather, but for the purposes of this exercise, we're going to take this and fold it. So you can see as we're folding the paper, we kind of get our skirt shape back right here. But we've got this extra shaping and these folds that are going to fall nicely once we assemble this in fabric. So what we can do here is hold all this together and then trim it. And once we open it, except for this little weirdness right here, we've basically got our markers lined up for the pleats. Now, to be able to translate this into a pattern, what we would do is then we'll draw in where we want the tucks and which way we want it to go. So these are all going to go this way. So that's how you can achieve that skirt manipulation from a basic pattern.